Hey everyone, welcome back. The patch notes are now out. So we know all the changes that are going to be made. We are going to go over these notes in this video. Now, I'm not going to be going through line by line. There's pages and pages and pages of notes. So I will link the full patch notes in the description of this video. However, this video is going to go over the endgame changes, the skill changes, the monster changes, the general changes and improvements, unique item changes, bug fixes, controller and console improvements, localization fixes, and microtransactions. And sorry to say, guys, there's some changes they didn't get ready in time for this patch. And there's one in particular that I know is going to break a lot of hearts. We're just going to have to be a little bit more patient. Anyway, we are not going to go line by line. Like I said, there's like 20 pages of information here. So we're going to highlight the major talking points. And if you want to get and review this line by line, as I said, I'm going to link the full patch notes in the description of this video. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. Let's get to it. All right, so here you go, guys. Here's 0.1.1 patch notes, and this is what it says. Tomorrow, we're planning to release patch 0.11 for Path of Exile 2, pending any last-minute hurdles. This patch contains new endgame tower maps, checkpoints for map areas, respawning attempts for the Arbiter of Ash, as well as many monster changes, unique changes, improvements, and bug fixes. Please note that these are still subject to change prior to the patch deployment. So there's a lot of good news in here, everybody. I think it's going to be resoundingly a big W for everybody. I know for some players, the game was starting to become unplayable. I know personally, I was struggling with some of the stuff that they're fixing in these patch notes. So it's a big W in my opinion. So like I said, there's a lot to talk about. What I've done here is I basically have copy and pasted this over to a document, and I've highlighted the things that I think are worthy of mentioning. So let's get to it. Okay, so these are basically the patch notes. So first up are the end game changes. So they've added 4 new tower map areas: the Alpine Ridge, Bluff, Mesa, and Sinking Spire. The Lost Tower map area has also been revamped, thank God. Now, to address the problem of only having one attempt at the Arbiter of Ash boss fight, you now will have 6 respawn attempts at this fight, and the respawn can only be triggered if you're in a group by the person who puts in the key. Other notable mentions: they added checkpoints to map areas. A lot of people were complaining about backtracking in these massive maps. Well, we now will have checkpoints to alleviate that. Map areas now contain a minimum of 3 rare monsters. Again, people complaining about the lack of rare monsters. Citadels can now appear closer to the Ziggurat Refuge. Remember, the explanation from Jonathan during their last podcast was that the citadels, the radius was really massive before we could see citadels. That radius has now been reduced, therefore us being able to get to a citadel hopefully quicker. Maps now display their biome when hovered in the Atlas UI, so we'll be able to know the biome just by hovering over the map. They added the new Overseer's Precursor tablet. This is a currency item which can be placed in the completed towers to add map bosses. Okay, so, and it validates maps in the radius. And these tablets drop from map bosses can roll exclusive modifiers that affect map bosses. Another W. Map areas have been adjusted to have more distinct specialties for the content they contain. For example, one area might have more total number of monsters, while another is more likely to contain additional content such as strong boxes, essences, and shrines. So really, really good. And they made a number a number of map improvements. They've doubled the spawn rate of chests, doubled the number of monsters. Maps contain 50% more magic monsters, 50% more rare monsters. I can go on and on and on, but they have really amped up the content and the spawn rates and the chances for maps to contain more essences, strong boxes, shrines, etc. You get the picture. Maps that are only exclusively found in biomes containing citadels now have 50% more chance to contain essences, strong boxes, and shrines. Again, huge W, huge W. They reduced the damage scaling of monsters in simulacrum encounters with added difficulty. They adjusted the chance for maps to contain bosses. You should be encountering boss roughly every 1 in 4 maps. Now, this is what was communicated to us during the launch and marketing of Path of Exile 2's early access. But when we started playing early access, this was not the case. We were not getting boss encounters approximately 1 in every 4 maps. So I'm super happy that this is addressed and dealt with. So the chance of map bosses to drop a waystone of the current tier or higher has been reduced to account for the increase in the total number of map bosses. So these are kind of little nerfs. The Radiant Waystone Atlas Notable passive now provides plus 15 chance for a mop boss to drop a waystone. Currently, it was previously it was 25. The small map boss waystone chance passive now provides plus 6 chance for map bosses to drop a waystone. Current tier or higher. Previously, it was 10. The I'm Not Afraid of You Delirium Atlas passive skill now grants Delirium bosses in your map drops 100% increased simulacrum splinters. Previously, it was 50. W. Reduce the number of monsters and small chests from breaches by 15%. Increase the amount of simulacrum splinters found in maps by 20. Crisis fragments, breachstones, simulacrums, and an audience with the king now have a map appropriate gold value to vendors. Gucci, we're going to be making more gold. Increased how far you can zoom out. This one I love. I always found the endgame map way too close. So the vision is we're going to be able to zoom out more, which is big, big, big news. Okay, that was the end game. Huge W. Thank you, Grinding Gear Games. This is going to make the end game way more appealing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Skill changes. So scavenged plating. Okay, so that for those of you that know, it's a spirit gem that grants armor and thorns. Now grants your stacks for a duration based on the enemy's rarity. Normal enemies grant 1, all the way up to unique enemies that grant 10 stacks. The Lightning Bolt skill granted by the Choir of the Storm unique amulet has been renamed, and it triggers greater lightning bolts are now unable to trigger a subsequent greater lightning bolt. If the first was a critical hit, greater lightning bolt now deals roughly 3.5 times more base lightning damage compared to lightning bolt. The Temporalis, these are kind of little nerfs, guys, coming up here. The Temporalis unique body armor can no longer reduce the cooldown of a skill to below 100 ms. Previously, it was -2 to -4 seconds. Skills socketed in a meta gem socket can no longer gain energy. Now, monster changes. They basically have done a plethora, a ton of changes to monsters and impacting them. And I'm, again, not going to go over them, but they have improved visibility, reduced their damage, reduced the amount of things they can throw. All in all, it's all about improving this, what I would call unacceptable damage that some of the enemies we're facing are just able to give out and are punishing and really making the game sometimes not playable. So you can go into the video description and you can read all the changes to the monsters, but a huge, huge W. I think this is going to turn the game into what it should be. So I'm really happy to see. Now, what I'm curious about, and I'm not going to lie here, and a little bit worried about is I hope this does not reduce the level of difficulty. I know that sounds stupid in saying it when I just said a lot of the monsters, their damage, what they can throw, their impact, all that has been reduced. But I hope, even with all these changes to the monsters, that the level of difficulty is still there. It just gets, I hope these changes get rid of the what I would call the stupid stuff that are in the game that really don't make the fun game. It keeps the level of difficulty, but eliminates a lot of the stupid deaths people are experiencing right now. But time will tell. We'll be able to upload this in a day, and we'll be able to test it for ourselves. Now, general changes and improvements. They enabled migrating from solo self-found leagues to their corresponding parent leagues, standard or hardcore, and this can be done from the league mitigation button on the character selection screen. Strong boxes have been adjusted to spawn waves of enemies over a much shorter period of time. That is one of the most annoying things for strong boxes. Everybody was ignoring strong boxes just because, I don't know, it took 7 days for them to spawn. So really huge W. The fog effect with the strong boxes fades away once all the waves of enemies have been spawned. Another W. What an annoying thing. Significantly increased the chance to encounter research strong boxes. And for those of you that don't know, you should be slamming these strong boxes to try to get a unique strong box, increase the modifiers on it. But this is a huge W. Charms, another annoying thing that was in the game that really a lot of us were like, is it working? Is it not working? Well, we will now have visual representation. Charms now play an effect on your character when they are automatically used. And there's going to be another change to charms that we're going to get to shortly that's even better. Socketables such as ruins can now be overwritten by placing another socketable item into the socket. And hallelujah, this really ties to a lot of things, but just to keep it short, the fact that we can now replace a socketable ruin is so nice. Thank you, Grinding Gear Games. It's so annoying that you couldn't modify your character as your character was growing and becoming more powerful, and you socketed a ruin at the time. Let's say you were in the campaign, but by the time you got to Endgame, you've now improved, things have changed, you powered up, and that socketable ruin doesn't have the same impact it had in the campaign, but you couldn't make the change unless you completely changed the item itself 100%. So huge W. Attempting to salvage an item now highlights which item in your inventory can be salvaged and displays item sockets. Great. Flasks with quality can now be salvaged, guys. Armor has been made more effective by approximately 15%. I don't think this is going to fly with the armor builders out there. I think this is still too low, but anyway, they buffed it by 15%. We'll see what the armor build guys and ladies say about this. I'm sure they're going to do a lot of testing, and they're going to base and say their opinion on this. I personally think, just right off the top, by reading this isn't enough, but it's a good start. More monsters are now able to be pushed while dodge rolling. This generally applies to most monsters smaller than a skeleton. Increase the chance for omens to appear as ritual awards. Hallelujah. Reduce the chance of items to roll some of the less desirable item modifiers. This is a good one, a really good one. I really hope that some of these rolls that we're getting on these items, they need to be amped up. So thank you. Remove the level requirements to access expedition vendors. That's going to be good news. We're going to be able to hopefully grab some really high-end gear. Rarity of items in expedition vendor shops now increase with shop level. So shops generally have more rare items at higher levels. This doesn't affect existing shops. Remember this, guys. You will need to use a reroll currency to generate shops with the improved rarity. So after the patch, these expedition vendor shops, make sure you re-roll it, because this change is not going to be done until you do that. So please, please remember that. Reduced visual clutter. Oh my God, thank God. In many map areas to improve the visibility of skills and effects. I was running maps last night on my monk, and I have to tell you, there were some maps that it's just, you can't even see the enemies, let alone the visibility of skills and effects. Just crazy. So this is a big W. Added a tutorial for activating your first persistent buff skill gem. Improved and fixed inconsistencies for walkability throughout areas in the campaign, as well as maps. Thank you. Improved the loading time of the world map. And as we saw during the podcast, it was a pretty quick load screen of the map, so that's good. They reduced, these are some good changes, guys. So player revivability has been is 2.5 seconds, so improved by 0.5 seconds. Reduced the player revive time penalty to 1.5 seconds per death, previously 2 seconds, so that's an improvement. Alva now has an option to gamble for items when placed in hideout. Who doesn't like to gamble? Reviving minions that died from being out of range of you now instead immediately revive near you. You minion builders, that's awesome. The quest tracker now shows which quests are applicable for the area you're currently in. Quality of life improvement. Uncut gems now show their level on their item label. Awesome. Charms now display their numbers of charges and when they're active. This is what I was talking about earlier, guys, about the charms. They're now going to display the number of charges and when they're activated, so we don't have to guess anymore. They updated the world map icons for when you have completed quests, encounters, and find items to make it more clear they haven't completed. Awesome visual improvement. After activating an omen of whittling, hovering over an item before applying a chaos orb to it will now display which modifier will be re-rolled. Awesome. Improved performance of these boss fights. Improved performance of the lava in the molten vault. Reduced screen clutter. Improved performance while killing a monster objective in endgame maps. Improved performance of areas where very bright lights that cause many shadows, notably the Temple of Kopek and the Ziggurat Refuge. Improved the performance of the Ziggurat encampment in order to reduce the occurrence of unloaded textures. Burning ground. Here we're getting to some good ones. Burning ground can no longer spawn underneath interactables such as levers. How annoying. Thank God. Monsters can no longer spawn near the close to the entrance of a map. Another annoying feature. You spawn into a map and before you even look, you got enemies coming at you from different angles. So super awesome. This often caused the player to immediately be attacked. No kidding. Delirium monsters are no longer untargetable during the emerge animation. As a result, they should no longer push you during this. You can now pick up items and interact with some objects while performing other actions. The attack in place stops movement option no longer prevents walking on skills that can be used while moving while using WASD movement. A great WSD improvement, and continue to incrementally improve the sound, art, effects, and environments. And by the way, hats off to the people that do the sound, art, effects, and environments at Grinding Gear Games. The game is stunning. It looks stunning. It sounds stunning. I have to say, super amazing music in this game. I'm loving it. And visually, the game is stunning. So hats off to that team. All right. Unique item changes. There is no way I'm going to go through all of these. Look at all the unique changes, all for the good. Look at the pages and pages and pages. Again, guys, The full patch notes are going to be in the description of this video. So go crazy. There's no way this is going to be a 7-hour video if I go through all of those. But great improvements. Again, improving the uniques in the game, which are just going to improve our experience and the fun factor. So huge W. Okay, bug fixes. Fixed 4 client crashes, fixed 4 instant crashes, fixed a snapshotting issue with Energy Shield when using the Mask of the Stitch Demon unique as an Infernalist, fixed a bug where Tier 5 bows could not roll increased attack speed and Tier 5 rings could not roll maximum life. How dare you, Grinding Gear Games? Thank God they finally fixed it. Fixed a bug where you could briefly be unable to perform any skills if you tried to interact with an object and dodge roll at the same time. Wow. Fixed an issue where the checkpoint for the Temple of Kopak boss fight could sometimes take you to the first checkpoint in the area. How annoying. Fixed a bug preventing the quality bonuses on Shock Burst rounds and Hailstorm rounds from applying. Fixed a bug where Shockwave Totem did not work when used with the support gem Astral Projection. Now, they also fixed a bunch of client crashes with Power Siphon when couch co-op and interacting with the unique stash tab. They fixed a client crash that could occur in couch co-op when interacting with the corruption altar. All good fixes. A ton of fixes and bugs. Fixed a bug where crossbows could fail to reload. Experienced that. Did not have enough mana available. Fixed a bug where Spark could fail to cast while standing on the edge of walkable terrain. Just to mention a few. There's a ton more here, guys. They fixed a bug where some unique bows did not play audio when firing arrows. Fixed a bug where engraving a support gem did not play the audio. They fixed a bug where quest items will not drop again from their respective objective if the player dropped them on the ground in an area where the difficulty was different to where it was obtained. Characters in a broken state should now be able to reobtain the quest objective. They fixed a bug where using a flask could cause the player to lose life if the item stat requirements were met in both weapon sets. Fixed a bug where incomplete unique items could be attained. Fixed a bug where the hooded one would not identify items stored in additional inventory slots granted by the Colossal Capacity Titan Ascendancy passive skill. All these are good fixes. Fixed a bug in the Riverside map where the boss arena force field could appear before entering the boss fight. Fixed a bug where the Energy Shield UI could visually appear as having Energy Shield when the player had none. That's going to be a big one. Fixed problems in the Savannah, Abyss, and Sea Page maps where sections of the areas could be inaccessible. Fixed the bug where Blink allowed travel to the past in the Ziggurat encampment without traversing through the time portal. Wow, you Blink people. Fixed the bug where allocating Chaos Inoculation would incorrectly count you as being on low mana. Fixed the bug where crossbow skills could fail to reload when spamming the ability when using a controller. Fixed the bug when stashing a skill gem with attached support gems would cause the support gems to become invisible. These now unpack into the relevant tab. And they came up with a lot more, guys. Ton more. All good. All W's. Super good. Now, controller improvements are in abundance. They made a lot of good controller improvements. So while using currency, inventory navigation will ignore items the currently selected currency cannot be used on. Added a bindable action to show hide item and object labels. While on the world map screen, you can now press B circle to leave the underground, and a whole bunch more, guys. All good for controller players, and I know there are a lot of players playing this game with controller. And console improvements. This is one of the biggest W's, especially for console players, and that is item filters can now be used. And they fixed a bug where cutscenes and information videos had incorrect color grading on Xbox. And there is a link to set up the item filter. It's is now provided in the filter section of the settings menu under the game tab. And they made a bunch of localization fixes They fixed a number of cases of outdated translations and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to get into that. And they enabled all these microtransactions, guys. Enabled the following existing cosmetic microtransactions for use in PoE 2. And here they are all. So go check them out. Hopefully you had them. They're going to be available to you in Path of Exile 2. Now, this is where we're going to get to a couple of things where they were not able to get them quite ready for this patch. And I know there's one in here, the last one, this one right here. This is going to be, I was really sad when I saw this. Anyway, something about Una's song still won't be playing correctly. But the one I want to talk about, map Waystone stash tabs. They didn't get it ready in time, guys. So we have to wait even more for these Waystone stash tabs. I know it's a big bone of contention with players. It's so annoying with these Waystone and not having the stash tabs to help us organize for it. But it is coming, guys. And we're just going to have to wait a little bit more. Anyway, that, in a nutshell, is patch 0.1.1. So there you have it, everyone. We finally got our hands on it, and we know exactly what is going on. Like I said, the full description and all the changes in the patch, the link will be in the description of this video, so you can go check it out. And I just want to say this is a huge W. These are mostly buffs and improvements with some minor nerfs. So all good news, good news, good news. Can't wait to get the update, which is going to be, apparently, unless there are any other changes or delays, it's going to be live. We'll be able to update the patch tomorrow. So we're going to get our hands and experience it in game tomorrow, unless there's any delays, further delays or changes according to Grinding Gear Games. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts? Good, bad, indifferent? Let me hear it. I want to hear your opinion. And personally, I think this game, I hope it's going to take away all the unnecessary BS in the game, but still keep the level of difficulty. I hope this does not reduce the level of difficulty. Like I said, my hope is that it gets rid of the unnecessary BS in the game that's killing a lot of players and not making the game fun. But let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear it. Get in the comments section. And as always, thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you in raid class. Talk to you soon. The opinions expressed in this video are mine and solely mine. Healthy debate is always encouraged. Hate is never welcomed. So get over it.